Alright guys, so this is going to be my Wonder Woman Q&A. This was the next one I posted on Patreon, and as always, if you guys would like to be part of the, if you'd like to be part of the next Q&A, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, where you guys can hit the second tier, that's where the Q&As are, and that'll allow you to send me questions for the next one. So as you can see, like I said, my Q&As kind of follow a certain topic, and today's topic is Wonder Woman. So let's see if this one beats out the longest running one of these Q&As I've been doing. The longest of these Q&As was the Fantastic Four. So let's see if Diana can beat that. So once again, I'd like to thank everyone who sent in questions. We got a lot for this one. So yeah, let's get started. Starting off with Gordon Rajani, who asks, what Wonder Woman comics would you recommend for people who want to start reading her? I would say the Greg Rucka one, the George Perez era, way back from the 80s. That's also really good. Like I said, Greg Rucka's run, as well as his Rebirth run, the 4 volumes he did for the Wonder Woman DC Rebirth era. That's a really solid story. I would also say anything from Gail Simone. I haven't read anything on what's her name? She created G. Willow Wilson, that's the word. Like, she created Miss Marvel, like Kamala Khan. That run I have heard good and like mixed things about, so I can't really, and I haven't read it, so I can't say. The recent Becky Cloonan run, haven't read that either. But the ones I mentioned earlier, Simone, Rucka, Perez, those are the solid ones to start with. Anyway, so second question. What are some Wonder Woman villains you like that rarely get used? Well, one only got used like once, twice if you really want to argue it, and that's Silver Swan. The Silver Swan is just this weird like woman who got cybernetically implanted with bird power. She looks almost like DC's Archangel in a way. She's such a neat villain, and she was used in a Wonder Woman animated film. But yeah. Everyone just uses Cheetah and Giganta and sometimes Dr. Psycho, and that's really it. But there's other villains, but I see why, because Wonder Woman doesn't, like Ares too, I forgot. Really, when it comes to Wonder Woman villains, anyone only knows Ares, Giganta, Cheetah, and sometimes Dr. Psycho because of Harley Quinn. But really, it's those three. Psycho's kind of on the bubble. But yeah, Silver Swan is a really cool villain. I like she's got a cool aesthetic. I'd like to see more of her. So yeah. Third question, and your third and final question is, who would you get to make a Wonder Woman film for James Gunn's DCU? Okay, so director for a Wonder Woman movie in James Gunn's DCU. You know, I would say I would genuinely say, I know someone's going to go with a female director, and I really do like that idea. I really love the idea of having a female director. I think that worked for the first Wonder Woman movie. The second one, not so much, because they got way too much creative control, and yikes, Wonder Woman 1984 happened. But I will say my pick would be, and this is going to be an odd one, David Leitch, the director of John Wick 2, also like Bullet Train and a few others. Like, I really want to see like an unleashed Wonder Woman. I want to see like this Diana's here to fuck you up. But I also would. But the thing is, Leitch is good on action. Character-wise, you need like a good writer. Like, he's good at action. He's not good at directing people. That's why you kind of need a good script. Although, yeah, I think it's more of the script writing that helps Leitch along. Which Deadpool 2 is my favorite of the three. Well, the third movie's not coming out yet, but yeah, there's such good human moments too. But I don't know if that's Leitch or if that's script writing. So, but my pick right off the top of my head, David Leitch, I think would be a really cool pick for Wonder Woman, honestly. So thank you for those questions, Gordon Rajani. Next up, James Finnegan, who asks, what do you think of Wonder Woman's relationship with Batman in DCAU? I thought it was pretty cool. It's not really a pairing I like, honestly. It's not a pairing I enjoy. The whole, like, real like I like how the banter is, and also like they like the thing with the DC animated universe is that Batman's basically God. Like there's no other way around it. It's clear that yes, I know he started the DCAU, but like they basically give Batman everything. Like he basically became Paul Dini and Bruce and Paul's like OC character. Like it kind of felt like that, and I'm not disrespecting that in any way. Bruce Timm and Paul Dini did a lot of great work, and obviously, introduced so many people to those characters. But when you go back, and keep in mind, I love the show, but like you go back, and it really does feel like they really treated Batman like they treated Batman like their OC, like their Gary Stu. But yeah, like, oh yeah, he gets all the bitches because he's Batman. But he's also so cool, even Superman were... Yeah. But I digress. I thought it was fun. Not my cup of tea, because I personally, stan Selina and Bruce. That's just me. But I thought it was a cool dynamic nonetheless. Anyway, second question. Who would win in a fight between her and Starfire? Oh, they fought. Diana whipped her ass. Like, it was no contest. Her and Diana have fought a few times, and while Starfire does put up a fight, Diana just mollywomped her by the end of the fight. So, they fought before, and it's been a close fight. I mean, Starfire has gone toe-to-toe with Superman, but, like, the fight, I can't remember the issue, but I do remember there was a fight between Starfire and Wonder Woman, and Diana just housed. Like, it was like, okay, like, there was a moment where, like, Starfire was winning, and then Diana was just like, alright, I'm done playing. And she was. So there you go. Third question. What's your favorite comic story of Wonder Woman? I do like the story arc, the Rebirth story arc from Greg Rucka. I thought that was really cool, the DC Rebirth. There was 4 volumes. I also really enjoy Dead Earth, which was I haven't read the whole story. I've read, Dead Earth is a cool story because it's one of the few DC Black Label books. It's actually from Danny Warren Johnson. I'd like to own it. I got it from my girlfriend, and I bought it for her as a Christmas present because she wanted to read it. So I read it from there, and man, I should buy this for myself. Although Chris has said that like the next DC haul, that'll be in my list apparently. So I'll wait for Chris to send it to me. But like after I bought the book, I kind of read through it and I was like, damn, I kind of should have kept this for myself. Anyway, so those are just a few that come to mind. Thank you for those questions, James. Moving on to Tom Hibbert, who asks, what are your thoughts on Lynda Carter Wonder Woman series? It's classic. That's all I can say. It's an absolute classic of a show. There's really not, there's nothing really you can say about that show that hasn't already been said. It's a fun, campy show. It's just, that's all I can say from what episodes. Like, it's just adorable. That's all I can say. It's just a fun, campy show. Second question: what would Wonder Woman think of Sailor Moon? I think I know a lot of people a lot of people would say, oh, Diana would think like Usagi's a joke, or think of her as like nothing but an idiot. But honestly, I think Diana would kind of be like, well, you have a lot of power to you, and you also show a lot of courage in the face of all this fear. That's what makes you a warrior. That's what makes it, I think Diana would be like, I'm proud to call Usagi a sister in battle. Yeah, Wonder Woman doesn't tear down. I don't understand why writers have to make it feel like Diana has to tear down people, tear down other women, because that's not who Diana is. She empowers women regardless of if they're superheroes or not. I don't know. That just made me think of that. But yeah, I think she would really respect Sailor Moon. Third question. Do you feel like the Injustice Wonder Woman is an insult to the character by making her a murderer and downright manipulator of Superman just so she can have her as her boyfriend? Yeah, if it's one thing I don't like about the Injustice universe, and trust me, there's a lot. I love the games, but the universe itself just makes me angry as a Superman fan. Um, and that's a Q&A for another time, for a Superman Q&A. But yeah, this it is by far the worst thing for me, at least. And I'm sure a lot of Wonder Woman and, DC comic fans in general were like, what the fuck is this? Like, they were like, what the fuck is this? I hate how they basically made... You might as well call her Cersei Lannister. That's really what it is. You might as well call Diana in the Injustice universe Cersei Lannister. And yes, while they did kind of correct it with it's another universe. I get it. But like that, and they also show that the real Wonder Woman comes in and is like, just fuck you, and beats the shit out of her in the first game. But the second game, again, you might as well call her Cersei Lannister. She's manipulative. She's basically... I really hope, honestly, whenever we get Injustice 3, it's revealed that that's not Diana, and that's been Enchantress Cersei the whole time. Not Cersei Lannister, Cersei the Sorceress. Who also, I forgot, that's another character that's sometimes... It's like... So there's 4, yeah. So there's 4 villains anyone knows about with Wonder Woman. Cersei's one of them, but like, she's almost on the bubble sometimes. But I digress. But yeah, that's how it is. That's how it fucking is. Like, I really hope they just reveal that's never been Wonder Woman. Like, she's been trapped in the underworld, or she's been, and I know that messes with the canon that Tom Taylor wrote, but like, and I haven't read the Injustice books because I'm like, I don't really need to read the Injustice universe. It's kind of not there for me. But I digress. Maybe they'll reveal, like, it's been Cersei the whole time, or something else. I don't know. Because, like, this is so out of character for Wonder Woman. Maybe, and I know someone's going to go, well, they course-corrected in the comics. They explain why she became so evil. Alright. But it did, like, from what I've read, what little I've read of the Injustice books, even though I didn't like... Then this is the reason why I didn't want to read them, because I read some and I was just like, it's cool that, like, Tom Taylor did a lot of character stuff. Just, it's clear that he had to go by guidelines with the book to fall in line with the game. So, Tom Taylor is a fantastic writer, but holy crap did he have to go... I feel like he had to guidelines, because, like, what little I read, it doesn't explain anything of why Wonder Woman's like this. So yeah, bottom line, I don't like it. Thank you for that thank you for those questions, Tom. Moving on now to Hunter Johnson, who asks, what would Wonder Woman think of Bellows? Oh, easy, just a tyrant and a fascist who needs to get his head cut off. That is such an easy answer. It's just, I'm gonna just fucking decapitate you. That, Second question. What if Wonder Woman trained Connie from Steven Universe? I think Connie would probably be in awe and just kind of just totally starstruck by working with Diana and just kind of being in her presence. I think Connie's also a fast learner and would love nothing more than be trained by an Amazon. In fact, I think she'd be like, "Sorry, Pearl, but it's Wonder Woman, guys. It's Wonder Woman." Yeah. So, third question. What would happen if Wonder Woman ended up at the Hazbin Hotel? I don't think she would, because she wouldn't go to hell unless there's someone captured there. But I think she would be like, oh, well, Charlie has a very noble goal, and I will, I hope it's seen through. That's really it. Like, that's all I can say. Thank you for those questions, Hunter. Moving on now to Chris. What's up, bro? So let's get, let's go through my good friend Chris' questions. Mount Vernon kid. Do you prefer Diana's new origin as the daughter of Zeus or made of clay? Made of clay or Zeus-born? You see, I really don't like the daughter of Zeus thing. I really don't. But there's been some interesting stories here and there told with it. But honestly, if you were to ask me, it's the made of clay story. I think that's better. I think that also works with her character more, rather than just be like, oh, she's just powerful because she's the daughter of a god. Yeah. And, yeah, it also helps with her character of being like, I was made of clay, I wasn't naturally born, and I, like, it kind of makes her, like, feel like I came from a very, I came from a much different walk of life, so I really like the Made of Clay one rather than Zeus. Second question. Favorite era of Wonder Woman? I would say, I would say probably my favorite era of Wonder Woman, and this is coming from a guy who, I need to read more Wonder Woman books. I really do need to read a lot of Wonder Woman books, but from what I've read, George Perez. The George Perez early era Wonder Woman is probably the best. It's the definitive Wonder Woman, if you ask me. That's really it. There, no disrespect to, like, Gail Simone and others, but, like, that to me is, like, the definitive era for Wonder Woman. Anyway. Final question. Final question. Who's your favorite Wonder Girl? Donnie, Cassandra, or Yara? Oof. I really like Yara, but I haven't read a lot of her. So, Donna's really cool, but the origin or lack thereof, the multiple... If you want to talk about, like, Joker saying, like, oh, if I prefer to have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice. Donna Troy's over here like, motherfucker, please. My origin changes every day. So Donna's cool, but it's just the origin and how they just can't fucking figure it out. Yeah, no. And I grew... So, yeah. My answer is, my answer is Cassie. Cassie is the character I grew up with. She's a lot of fun. She was a great foil to Diana, who was at the time kind of like vulnerable after the whole Amazon's attack thing and being kind of like emotionally vulnerable. So here comes Cassie, who's just like a lot of fun and spunky, and they really played off of each other well. I also like the maternal figure Diana was to her, and yeah, I loved her and Superboy's relationship. She was a great character. So Cassie, that's my pick for Wonder Girl. That's my favorite Wonder Girl right there. Obvious choice, I know, but hey, what do you want me to do? So thank you for those questions, bro. Moving on now to Cyborg 19.99, who asks, what Marvel villains beside Enchantress could you see clashing with Wonder Woman? Okay, so what Marvel villains could I see as Wonder Woman villains? Hela, for starters. Hela is easily, and a lot of Thor's villains, but I don't want to make it that easy. Like, you could honestly, and Chris has said this before, is that you could swap Superman and Batman and Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery wouldn't be much of a difference. I could make the argument for Wonder Woman and Thor, you could swap their enemies, and it wouldn't be much different. So I would say Hela, but I'm not going to use every one Thor villain. So Hela, and as for other villains outside of Thor's Rogues Gallery, I would say, well, actually, no, one more Thor villain I'll use. Dario Agger. And, yeah, so Dario Agger, I think, is another one. He's a fucking Minotaur businessman. He's literally the thing Diana hates. It's a Greek monster and a corporate businessman. Two things Diana hates. So, yeah, I'm going to use only two villains from Thor, it's Hela and Dario. As for other villains in Marvel, I would say the High Evolutionary, just because it's kind of a neat it's kind of a neat villain for Diana to fight. So the High Evolutionary, Sauron, the not the Dark Lord, the Pterodactyl Man, because he just kind of fits in that weird Wonder Woman villain group. And I would also say, I'd probably also throw in Mystique. Yeah, she also works as a Wonder Woman villain, honestly. So there you go. Next up, your next question is, how would you do a Wonder Woman Cardcaptor Sakura crossover? Well, I can't really think of a crossover off the top of my head. I would say how I would do the loose idea I would do with a Cardcaptor Wonder Woman crossover is probably along the lines of how I'd probably do it is that I would have it be a story where the Clow, the book, was in possession at one point by the Amazons, but one Amazon just opened it and all the cards flew out, terrorized Themyscira, and Hippolyta was just like, no, get that fucking book off my island, and shenanigans ensue in there. There you go. That's kind of the loose idea I got. Third question. Who is your least favorite Wonder Woman villain? Honestly, least favorite Wonder Woman, Psycho Man. Or Dr. Psycho, excuse me. Have I been saying Psycho Man the whole time? Holy shit. Dr. Psycho, not because of the Harley Quinn TV show, although he's meh there. My reason why I don't like Dr. Psycho that much is just because he's just this gross little incel with mental powers. I would also say like another villain I really... Actually, no, it's just Dr. Psycho, honestly. Anyway, so also I will say another like a villain I always get tired of seeing because he's goddamn everywhere with Wonder Woman is Ares. Not because he's a bad villain, he's just... You always associate you always have Ares, no matter what Wonder Woman stories it is. It's always like, it's always tied back to Ares, and Cheetah does get that level too, but she's not, at least they do interesting things with Barbara, for the most part. So, thank you for this question, Cyborg. Moving on now to Christopher Rosa, who asks, did you know that in original Greek mythology, Ares was the father of the Amazonian queen Hippolyta, and the two had a great relationship because Ares treated his children well? If you made a story using this fact, how would you explain why Hippolyta and the Amazonians turned against Ares and chose peace instead of war? Yeah. Fun fact, for those who aren't initiated in Greek mythology, the big reason why... I don't understand why Hades and Ares are treated as villains, because honestly, Ares was a hothead and an asshole, but he also was like one of the few gods in Greek mythology who cared about women and women's rights. Like one of his daughters got raped in one story, and he instantly killed the guy, and not only that, he killed the dude's whole family. In revenge, whereas all the other gods, like including his father Zeus, was like, it was a woman. What? He was just horny. What's the problem? And Ares was like, fuck that noise. So Ares is actually like a more reasonable god, even though he is more like angry and warlike. He's actually more. He's actually like he has more. He's emotional as well as he's a god that. He's a god who actually is not as evil as you think. Although to be fair, none of the Greek gods are, shall we say, nice. And don't say Athena in the comments, because Athena is the reason we have Medusa. Go educate yourself on that one and come back and tell me how nice Athena is. Anyway, getting back to the point, I would say, if I was to make that, retcon that myth into the origin, I would say that Ares, the reason why there was fallout between Ares and Hippolyta would probably be that Ares saw the devastation that was done to the Amazons, and since the Amazons were his, he's just like, I need to make you guys into warriors, and we'll go out and conquer. And they're like, no, we saw enough war, we're good. But Ares is like, no, you haven't. I need to, you need to be stronger. You need to be all this. And it just led to a fallout between the two, because the Amazonians had enough. Ares didn't have enough. Such is the case in most Greek mythologies. Anyway, so thank you for that question, Christopher. Moving on to your second question. Out of all of Wonder Woman villains, who do you believe deserves the title of her archenemy? It always comes down to Cheetah or Ares, doesn't it? It always comes down to Cheetah or Ares in that scenario, right? I would say... I know everyone's going to say Ares, and you would not be remiss to say otherwise, but I'm going to say Cheetah. Cheetah and Diana have had a rivalry that has been emotionally and physically brutal to each other. And Diana really wants to help Barbara. Like, that's the thing, is that Barbara's like a victim who keeps like Diana's the friend who's trying to get her friend off the drug, but her friend is just like, I need this. And it's more like the two of them, like, it's very clear that there was a thing between them, and there may be a thing still between them. I do like that. Like, I do kind of like that edge to that relationship, because, like, Barbara, it's kind of always insisted that Barbara was always, like, attracted to Diana, and Diana wanted to reciprocate that at some points. So I would say Cheetah, because it's on an emotional level. For Wonder Woman. Third question. I like the pair of Spider-Man and Wonder Woman. How do you feel about that pair? How do you think that pairing would go? Peter getting pegged. I'm just kidding. Could you imagine? Actually, I could. I've seen fan art. I'm kidding. I would say it's all right, but Peter's definitely the bottom. That's all. Like, that's what we're all thinking. Like, Peter's definitely the bottom in that scenario, right? So thank you for those questions, Rosa. Moving on now to David Deister, who asks, if you could write a Wonder Woman run, what would it be like? If I could write a Wonder Woman run, what would it be like? I would say that my idea, I think, like, my idea for a Wonder Woman run would probably be maybe more focused on her rogues than then trying to keep making Greek-themed ones. Like, maybe make some original villains here and there. Kind of boost up her numbers in the rogues gallery, and maybe even give some love to the classics like Silver Swan and other villains. Just kind of like boost the villain numbers. That's what I can really think of off the top of my head. Second question. What would a Captain America Wonder Woman crossover be like at the time period it would take place in? And what time would it take place in? I would say maybe have it that it's set, the flashbacks are set in the past with Hippolyta as Wonder Woman fighting alongside Captain America, or Steve ends up on Themyscira with Howling Commandos. They leave, and now you have the Red Skull and what's that one a female Nazi villain who Wonder Woman battles sometimes? It's not Baron von Blitzkrieg. That's actually, no. I think Baron von Blitzkrieg is the villain. No, Baron von Blitzkrieg is a Shazam villain. No, that's Captain Nuts. Why is this such a weird concept I'm talking about now? Yeah, I think that if I'm right, I think the villain's name is Baron von Blitzkrieg. So have that with Red Skull. There you go. And your third question is, who would you cast as Wonder Woman in James Gunn's universe? I really suck at casting, so I couldn't tell you. Honestly, yeah, I really suck at casting, so I, for the life of me, could not tell you, for the life of me, I couldn't tell you who I'd cast. I really suck at casting. Anyway, thank you for those questions, David. Moving on now to Jason Voorhees 2011, who asks, who would you get to write a Wonder Woman ongoing who hasn't already? Ooh, good question. Like, what comic writer would I get who hasn't done Wonder Woman yet and have them do Wonder Woman? I'm going to say, once he's done with Marvel, come to DC, Al Ewing. Al Ewing, who has written Immortal Hulk. He's also writing Immortal Thor. I really think Al Ewing would be pretty cool on the run. I think he would be the perfect guy or perfect person to write it, because he's really good at blending, like, science and magic and kind of making, like, cool cosmic stuff. Kind of mixing magic and also all of that. Like, obviously you see that with Immortal Thor, and you saw that with Immortal Hulk. I think he would do it, like, Al Ewing would be a perfect pick, for a Wonder Woman run, honestly. For a second writer, I would say maybe get Kelly Thompson. She'd be kind of cool. But I digress. Thank you for that question. Moving on to your second one. What do you consider to be the definitive storyline for Diana? I would. The problem is there isn't a lot of definitive stories outside of the Perez run. So that's the one I kind of go with, because there isn't a lot of Wonder Woman stories that aren't, like, considered definitive. But it is the Perez story, the George Perez story, that I think is the definitive. His storyline of the origins and whatnot, that's where we all get take a lot of mythos from Wonder Woman. So yeah. And your third question is, since Diana, to my knowledge, has never gotten her own crossover with a Marvel character, when they and DC were still doing them, which Marvel hero would you like to have her paired up with? Well, I think the obvious answer is Captain Marvel, right? Like having the two biggest female characters of your and no, someone's going to say, oh, but she met Storm in Versus. That we're talking about it like a solo Marvel crossover. And to my knowledge, she's only had one with Conan, and that was when he was at Dark Horse, before Conan left for Marvel, got taken to Marvel. So if they were to do a new Marvel DC crossover, they would have to do Wonder Woman, right? So my pick for who they would, the obvious answer is Captain Marvel, and that's a really good idea. Having Carol and Diana together, that makes the most sense, of having your two biggest female characters team up. For others, I would say have her with Miss Marvel. Like that, I think that would be a cool pairing of Diana teaming up with Kamala, and Kamala just being like, "Oh my God, Wonder Woman, the OG female superhero! Holy shit, I need to get a selfie with her." Yeah. So one of those two, Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel. For others, I would say a Captain America crossover would be really cool. Like, again, like a World War II story with her and Steve. That would be really awesome. I would also say, like, maybe like a Black Panther crossover, and have it with Shuri as Black Panther, and have it be like it's a conflict between, they're trying to stop between Wakanda and Themyscira. Something like that. But yeah, thank you for those questions, Jason. Moving on now to Alistair Bondman, who asks, Wonder Woman has one of the smallest rogues gallery of any of the mainstream heroes. What kind of new villains would you add to her roster, and what kind of their gimmicks, speed, power set, and ability? I would say, like, I would like to add more tech villains, because Wonder Woman has a lot of magic-based villains. She only has a very few. Silver Swan's really the only one that comes to mind, and don't say Maxwell Lord, he's more of a Justice League villain. So I would say maybe more tech villains, like something like kind of like a Technopath or something. I would even like to see, if I was to do like a magic villain, maybe do like a voodoo priest, because I'd like to see Wonder Woman encounter other magics rather than just Greek. So maybe like a voodoo priest or voodoo priest or priestess. Maybe even have throw a vampire in there. Go nuts, right? Second question. I think we can all agree that the Diana-Superman relationship is boring as hell, yet people seem to like the shipping of her and Batman, mainly due to the DCAU. What do you think of this? And, well, Alistair, I kind of answered this question already about the DCAU Batman-Wonder Woman relationship, so as per rules, I'm sorry, but I have to skip this question because I already answered the question already. No offense, dude. And your third question is, how would you write My Adventures with Wonder Woman show, and what world would you set it in? World Wars or modern day? Okay, so basically like a My Adventures with Superman show, but with Wonder Woman. I would set it maybe at the start during World War II, and have it that Wonder Woman's kind of like a myth now, like have it that, like, well, we couldn't have, our fighting boys be saved by a woman, so we kind of, like, tossed her to the side. And now Wonder Woman's back to help mankind, the world of man, like, get its shit together. And have it, like, Steve Trevor, who in here would be Steve Trevor Jr., and Steve Trevor Sr. is the one who met her on the plane and whatnot, so it's his grandfather, who Diana first met during World War II. And now Junior is the new guy, and he's our Lois for this story. He'd also be a soldier, and like he's Diana's liaison as she's learning about the world, and have Etta Candy in there as well. So like that's kind of my idea, right? Just what I could think of. Think of those questions, Alistair. Moving on now to Bill McLaughlin, who asks, "Who's your favorite alternate version of Wonder Woman?" I really don't have a favorite. I wouldn't say I have a favorite alternate version of Wonder Woman. I would say that the one I would the one that comes close is the Wonder Woman from the Red Sun universe. That's just kind of how I think of it. But really, it's main universe Wonder Woman who's my favorite. All right, second question. What are your thoughts on the amalgam character Amazon? The Storm Wonder Woman fusion. It's all right. It's kind of a boring design, but it's not terrible. Like, all of the amalgams have really awful designs when you really like, outside of like Super Soldier and Darkclaw, and even Darkclaw is kind of pushing it. All of the and Spider-Boy's a pretty cool design too, but for the majority of them, they are bad. They are pretty awful. But anyway, so, that's all I could say, Third question, what do you think of the fight between Wonder Woman and Storm in DC versus Marvel? So the fight between, so that one is really dumb, and I'll tell you why, because Wonder Woman, like, apparently according to the writers, and I don't know if this is true or not, but the writer said there was no way Storm could beat Wonder Woman, so we had to give her Thor's hammer to tie the odds and make it convincing. I'm like, fuck that! Storm's an Omega level character. She could easily just, like, she could hold her own. Again, she didn't need Mjolnir. And people always point to that whenever the Wonder Woman Storm argument comes up. It's like, she had to use Mjolnir to fight Diana. And I'm like, that's the problem, is that they basically give Storm a handicap to win the fight. So, that's my big problem with it, is that they basically treat it like, Storm couldn't beat her on her own. That's my problem with it, so I didn't like it. That's the quick answer. I didn't like it. No, sir. I didn't like it. Alright, thank you for those questions, Bill. Moving on now to Imagine8, who asks, do you prefer Wonder Woman having the ability to fly or using her invisible jet? I kind of like both. It's kind of like that old saying of, like, why not both? That's really what it comes down to, is, like, why not both? I like the invisible jet. It's kind of fun. It's a fun, neat idea, but I also don't mind Wonder Woman flying. So again, why not both? Second question. Could you see a storyline where Hera targets Diana and her loved ones due to her being a result of another one of Zeus's flings? I think that was part of one of the story arcs in Brian Azzarello's run. I really do think that was. I really do think that was one of the storylines in Azzarello's run, where Hera went after them, because he really hit home the whole thing of, like, the Greek gods are assholes, and they're assholes, like they're assholes, and they're vindictive assholes, especially Hera. So if I'm not mistaken, I think there was like a story like that. So thank you for that question. And your third question is, Wonder Woman is often classified as a magic-based hero. Do you think she could learn some spells and sorcery to better combat her threats, such as Cersei? I have heard that there was, like, stories where Diana would try to, like, learn about magic, but also be like, this isn't me. I'm a warrior. I don't need this I don't need, magic. I'll just come at you with my fists instead of magic. But she has used in the past magic-based weapons. Obviously, the Lasso of Truth, but there's also, like, other weapons that she's used that are magic-based. So I wouldn't say that Diana would never use magic. I'm sure at some point they would probably do a story where Diana does learn magic. That's always in comics. You always have that chance to. But yeah, I prefer it if she didn't, honestly. I really do prefer it if she didn't learn magic in any way, shape, or form. And just kind of depended on magic weapons. And her fists. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much the Wonder Woman Q&A. I'd like to thank everyone who sent me questions for this Q&A. This is a long one. This was a pretty damn long one, and I'm glad for that. It seems like the comic book ones always get the longest Q&As. But yeah. So once again, I'd like to thank everyone who sent me in questions. Other than that, if you'd like to be part of the next Q&A, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, and hit the second tier. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the multiverse.